Look, if you've ever gone through an annual or quarterly planning process, you understand that it seems simple on paper, but can get really complex really quick and is really easy to miss your targets. What I want to do today is share a couple of tips that aren't actually spelled out in the OKR framework, but will help you write better OKRs. And I'm going to do so by sharing a personal OKR about basketball. So 2-3 months into the pandemic, I was not taking good care of myself. Like many of you, I was stressed out about the world around me. I was working too hard. I have kids, so I was spending time with them. Needed to make sure I was putting time aside to take care of my physical well-being. So I figured a good way to do that was to set an objective that by the end of 2020, I'd be able to dunk a basketball. In my 20s, I could dunk a basketball if nobody was guarding me and I had a new pair of PF Flyers on and I'd had a light breakfast and wasn't feeling too bloated, and you give me like 3 or 4 tries. So I figured, I'm pushing 40, this is a good time to try to be able to do that again. I broke that down into 3 key results. One was focused on cardio. I do a 3-mile loop. I wanted to be able to do that in an 8.5-minute average. Core and leg strength, so I set a target for how many squats and lunges I could do. And number 3, I needed to get outside and exercise. So I set a target to do 75 workouts by the end of the year. I figured that was at least a couple a week. Now, I didn't get all the way there on that last one, pretty close, but life gets in the way sometimes. But was I able to dunk a basketball at the end of 2020? No, absolutely not. So it turns out I did a couple things wrong when I was setting that OKR. Number 1, I didn't put my key results through the necessary and sufficient test. Now, this is one of my favorite tools in the OKR framework. The necessary and sufficient test helps you validate whether your key results are enough or if you have too many of them. So number 1, you ask yourself if all these key results are necessary. Would I be able to hit this objective if I don't do all of these things? Then you ask yourself, are all of these sufficient? And in my case, obviously, the answer is no. Yes, my core strength got better. Yes, my cardio got better. And yes, I went outside more than I would have. So in those ways, it was great, but it didn't get me to my goal. What I needed to do was spend some time thinking about jumping. And playing basketball in general. And I probably should have broken all of this into what we would call milestone or target key results. So if I wanted to dunk on a 10-foot hoop by the end of 2020, what did I need to do by the end of Q3? 9.5? Who knows? So breaking it down into these milestones and targets, you're able to track progress much better than you would be. And then the third tip is just to do things like this. Run your retrospective. Think about what you did wrong, why you didn't hit that objective, and what you can do better next time. And when all else fails, get a smaller hoop.